Vikings walk away with another victory, 21-13, to improve to 6-2 this season. It was a win over the Colts. Ben Leber, Tatum, Everett. This is Between the Lines, presented by Continental Diamond. Ben, I heard you on the radio say that the locker room was insane. They were having a great time after that win. What was it like?
You kind of scared me there.
Did I?
I heard you on the radio. I'm like, what did I do? What did I say?
What did I do
I don't
wrong?
often remember what I say. So what did I say? Yeah, it was fun to get back to that moment in the locker room where the music gets cranked up. Mm-hmm. It gets blaring. Guys are dancing. They're playing their games. They're like, they're doing a little bit of like a dance party thing going on. So it's good to see those guys feel that victory. And you could see it. Maybe some want to admit it or not, but like this is kind of a must win, from just a vibe standpoint and just momentum and all that stuff, especially with this stretch of games coming up where we got a bunch on the road. They needed to get this win and they got it.
They definitely needed this greatly just because of the division standings alone. When you think of where they're jockeying for second place right now until they can beat the Lions later this year. And so with the Packers losing, the Bears losing, the Vikings are now second in the division, which is great news, Vikings fans. And that's because of the really good performance from today. It was an interesting game as it started out.
Yeah.
They were shut out for the first time since the last time they played the Colts. That halftime speech must have been something from Kevin O'Connell. What did you imagine it to look like or sound like?
Well, he can be a little fiery, but I don't think that's the moment where he gets super fiery. I think it's just like, look, guys, you've got this. We moved the ball pretty effectively. Sam just had, he had a couple throws where he forced it in there. We also missed 2 field goals. So you talk about the actual stat of being shut out in the first half. And it's like, well, our young rookie who's been sensational this whole year just pushed a couple to the right. That was the big difference in not getting points on the board. So it's not like we were playing terribly. So I don't think that the halftime speech was like, oh my gosh, I'm going to stand up on this pedestal and rah, you guys, and really get after it. It's just like, hey, let's just keep doing what we're doing. Let's wear these guys out. Time of possession was 20 minutes to 10 minutes in that first half. And it was like, okay, that's a little bit of a strategy, guys. We can wear out this defensive front, and we did that in the second half.
Speaking of defensive fronts, this Vikings team played really well. They actually held the Colts to their worst offensive performance of the season. And that was behind a lot of really key guys. Jonathan Grenard, Byron Murphy, Stephon Gilmore. They had such great games. When you look at the complete team performance, what stuck out the most to you?
I think stopping the run. I mean, that was the biggest thing. Jonathan Taylor is a very talented running back. And when he gets going, I mean, look out. I mean, he's one of the fastest guys in the league. So we shut down their running game. I think to running backs alone, it was 68 yards or something like that, under 70 yards that we gave up on the ground. That's winning football. And we get into situations now where we can rely on our secondary to make plays. I want to say that our secondary, from the Rams game to this game, they looked so much more decisive. Mm-hmm. They communicated much better. You didn't see any sort of confusion of like pointing on a motion of like, you didn't see their hands out. We've seen that in the last couple of weeks. And they've talked about how there's been miscommunication in the back end and they've been playing undisciplined football in the back end. That didn't happen tonight. You saw a much more spry and wily Stephon Gilmore. You saw a couple key plays at the very end with Harrison Smith breaking up some passes. So when it mattered the most, our secondary stepped up.
They didn't allow an offensive score, until the fourth quarter. And those were the 2 field goals. So 9 offensive possession from the Colts today and only 2 field goals. I heard you in the locker room with some of the defensive guys afterwards, especially with Byron Murphy on the field after the game. What was the vibe you get from this ability to get the win today?
The vibe is smiles and positivity.
Okay, good.
I think, like I was saying before, I think they all collectively knew how important this game was. Mm-hmm. It wasn't what you'd quote like as a must win, but they needed to get back on track. They needed that good feeling back in their mouth. There was a little bit of some moral victory that you can take from that Lions game. They went toe-to-toe with one of the best in the league, if not the best team in the league. And, you could argue and say, like, well, a couple plays here or there, we actually win that game. We were the better team that day. And so they need to go out there and prove to themselves once again that, hey, we're one of the best teams in the NFC. Stop questioning who we are. We know who we are. We can run the football effectively. We can make the throws, and defensively, we can get after the quarterback when we need to.
You mentioned cleaning things up. Only 3 penalties tonight from the Vikings, and I know one of the things Kevin O'Connell wanted to target is the pre-snap penalty, making sure the offense cleans things up. There was a new left tackle in the game, and we only saw 3 penalties. I mean, that's something to be amazed by. Plus, you're able to rush the ball for over 100 yards.
Yeah.
What impressed you about the way they were able to move the ball down the field as far as the run game goes?
Well, they took advantage of how vertical their defensive front gets. I have a lot of respect for what they do with their linebackers. They're very fast. Their front 4 of that Colts defense, they are very physical and very fast to get upfield. But by doing that, they might cut off the front side, the play side part of the run. But if you're patient enough, you can hit those cutbacks, and that's exactly what we did. Cam Akers did a great job. He was 7.7 yards a carry when he went in there to spell Aaron Jones, and so we were able to keep some fresh legs out there and implement the same game plan, even though we had 2 different running backs in there. So offensive line did a great job just allowing some of that pressure to get front side, knowing that we're going to cut it back.
And their success led to the success in the passing game. Justin Jefferson with a monster game. I don't know if you know this, but he is a few yards away from being the 4th receiver, the 4th most receiving yards in Vikings history.
It's crazy.
He'll pass Adam Thielen probably next game.
Yeah.
So he has a monster game. Then you see the Jordan Addison touchdown. Where was your vantage point? Could you get a look at that?
The Jordan Addison one.
Yeah,
I was across the field, and I couldn't really see it. I saw him lay out, but I had no idea that he caught that with one hand.
Yeah, it was amazing.
It was amazing. So I had to look at the Jumbotron afterwards and like, oh my gosh, like I can't believe he actually came down with that football. You know, a lot was made about what he tweeted out, what he said, or posted on Instagram. But all I got to say is, if that's what it takes to kind of feed him the ball every once in a while, to target him, be intentional about getting him the football, I mean, so be it. I mean, he was spectacular tonight when his number was called, and that's the thing. We get Hawkinson back, you get Josh Oliver on a career game, you get Justin Jefferson, who's the best in the league. You get those guys going along with Aaron Jones. This offense is so dynamic, nobody can stop it. 9
different pass catchers from Sam Darnold. It was a 2 interception performance from him, which is rare to see. He hasn't done that yet as a Viking. However, the 3 touchdowns kind of they negate that a little bit. What did you like from our quarterback today?
He's always just so calm and poised, and I obviously didn't like when he gets flushed out of the pocket early in the game, and tries to force one in there, and Zaire picks it off. I mean, that's those situations where you don't want him to take those risky throws, and I understand that he's trying to make a play, but he just needs to, once again, trust what this offense can do. You have weapons. You have your legs. I mean, he does a great job when he decides to pull the ball down and run. He does a great job picking up some yardage. Yes. So I think there was some times where he took some unnecessary sacks. If he can find the outlet and just have vision on the outlet and the check down, you don't have to throw it to him. Just throw it around him. Throw it at his feet. It doesn't have to be a completed ball. You just can't take a sack. No,
the sacks were definitely the technical negative plays. You didn't see the pre-snap penalties, but you did see a lot of the negative plays that put them behind the line of scrimmage, and therefore the first half was a little bit more difficult than it needed to be. However, this defense saving this team time and time again. After the game in Kevin O'Connell's press conference, he called them the backbone of this game, which I think is just so nice to hear. So great to see, and we'll hopefully see it again next week. So now the Vikings go on the road. It's another AFC opponent, Jacksonville Jaguars. What's next for this team? What do they need to do?
Well, they just have to keep the momentum and just believe that they are a good football team. And not that you want to overlook any one opponent, but Jacksonville, they had to come storming back today, and they were down early too. So, but overall, this is a team in Jacksonville that's kind of reeling a little bit, and they're trying to figure out what they have left of their season and what they can salvage. So we know that they're going to be hungry. We're playing at their place. I'm super excited for Cam to go back and face.
He's been gone for like 1 week.
I know, he's been gone for 1 week, and he's going to go back and face his former team. So that's going to be really exciting. A great storyline to watch there. But like I said, if we can run the ball effectively like we did today, and we can be physical up front, then there's no stopping this offense. And really, like you said, it's going to be sacks and penalties and careless turnovers. That's what's going to hold us back. If we execute and take care of the football, we're going to score a lot of points.
That's right. Another complete team performance here from the Minnesota Vikings to improve to 6-2 on the season. This has been Between the Lines, presented by Continental Diamond. For Ben and myself, we will see you guys next week.